Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus here again. You know, I'm always speaking to you about the things that I say are the solutions to the problems of life. Yet, that be it as it may, most folks don't know that. And even though I can bring it to them, share it with them, it doesn't make them automatically accept that as being fact. So, what we actually have is people going one way that leads us to a path of pain and suffering very fast, and we have other people who are going another way that lead us to the same place but a little slower. And yet, all the people, regardless of where they're at, want the best that they can get, but they do not believe in the best because they haven't heard anything about it. And when they did get a little taste of it, those who brought and spoke in regards to that were murdered, were assassinated. And so it took away any excitement that one might have about making that kind of a difference in life. And yet, if that difference is to be made, it will require that kind of action. I remember, though, that as I talk about this divine world where the solutions have appeared and people are expressing themselves, they're engaging themselves in the process of making, causing a manifestation of all those wonderful things that they have determined are absolutely essential in their lives, like food and clothing and shelter, and education and health care. They don't have to worry about affirmative action because schools are open to everybody and schools are free. And schools are asking everybody that is qualified to come to school, I mean, age wise and need some training, and they know it. Prepare yourselves by coming to school and get all the education you need to be the best that you can possibly be. In this, we talk about having health care from the womb to the tomb, the best that you can possibly have, because we have learned the basic principles of life. That's what I talk about. And I say that because the thing that makes this so real is that the ones that benefit are all of us, the people. And all of the people engage ourselves in the process in one way or another. So everything that is made belongs to we, the people, all of us. And we could access it as we need, want, or desire it. Our system will be set up so there won't be an abuse, but we don't even have to worry about that. It is putting abuse aside that allowed us to come to this point. And so we don't have to worry about stuff like that. And yet, even though that is absolutely true, even though my life has been staked on that, even though I've been to prison a lot of times just to prove to you what I'm saying, it doesn't make any difference. You know, you're still a political people, a political people. And you are between a Republican or Democrat. You might be independent, but your plan is to go Republican or Democrat. And if I stand here and talk to you about how heavenly we can be, how all of your problems can be answered, that doesn't mean a hill of a beans if you don't vote for it or support it. But what you can do, if some of you believe that and want to get supported, you can give your support to this particular cause, a cause as righteous as it can possibly be. But if you vote for it, would do you harm. It would do you harm because it would take away from you supporting something that possibly could allow you to retard that evilness that's trying to overwhelm you. While giving your support to me just means that, hey, we got a long fight to go, and we will willingly take that fight. So I'm saying we're not just about just being so righteous. We got to be kind and wonderful and nice to other people. So what I'm saying here is this: the Democrats, no, just a little bit different than the Republicans. They've allowed pain and suffering. They've allowed racism. They've allowed hatred. They've slavery. All of that. Nobody's exempt from that. But they still today are not as bad as the Republicans. They are not half as bad as Donald Trump and his folks. So, in light of all the wonderful things that I tell you about, they are still real. But America is not ready for that today. America is not ready for God. So what we will do, and I would advocate that you do if you care about one another, is that you give your support to the Democrats. You give your support to the Democrats because the Democrats at least want to see a better nation. The Republicans want to tear the nation down and build themselves up. Just like you see Donald Trump want to be number one, the people, white people especially, want to build, American white people, want to build themselves up as the number one group on the nation and then try to use everybody else to do the things that they can't get AI to do, artificial intelligence to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to mention to you that the Supreme Court does not have the authority to make a judgment on the public. The reason that they don't is because they have forfeited their authority. They perjured themselves. They sat down at their hearings and stated, perhaps under oath, I don't know for sure, but I believe so, that they would not come in and mess with these rules and regulations that have been set and have been established, that have been considered as precedents. They wouldn't bother it. And yet, they came in like a political force, not as people protecting the law. They came in like a political force, like they couldn't wait to perjure themselves, to do what they said they would not do. They just jumped on it. And then when you did your research to find out what's going on with them, you find out they're connected with people who are very wealthy. People who take them out on trips and planes and yachts and show them the fantastic life, buy their properties so that they can have money. And yet, these guys are supposed to, at least according to what the people say, you can do this, but tell us about it. Tell us about what's going on. Let us know so we know to watch out. And if these guys want to come in and bring a situation before you, the court, you can't participate in it. You have to recuse yourself. But these people say, we're not going to even tell anybody. That's total corruption. Total corruption. And then they have the audacity to sit on their butts and then tell a woman what she cannot do. They have the audacity to sit on their butts and say civil rights laws, just to think about making things better is prejudice. Racist. I mean, this is absolutely, but that's the way of the world. And hey, my friends, the Supreme Court, can you believe it? You pay them. They sit here and do this stuff before you, just like Trump did, and you let them get away with it. Now they expect you to let them get away with what you have found out that they do. Well, see, part of the mission from God's kingdom is to expose that, to let you know that the Supreme Court is corrupted, to let you know that politics is all about corruption, to let you know that, and then turn around and tell you what you want. You want to be satisfied, and then show you how to be satisfied, and then you got to make the choice. You got to make the choice. Because to be satisfied means you got to respect yourself, and the way you respect yourself is by respecting everybody else. And when you do that, you're respecting God. And when you've done that, then you are becoming an instrument whereby God is using you to do all the wonderful things of life. So, as I want to say to you, I talk about getting rid of money. And most of you know, if I talk about getting rid of money, all you know is about everything that you can do, need to do, is going to require some money. And I'm sitting here talking about getting rid of money. That's the furthest thing from your mind. That in itself would keep you from thinking about the solutions that I bring to you. And I can understand, because I remember, ladies and gentlemen, I was brainwashed the same way. I was brainwashed about Africa. I was almost 50 years old before you can even talk to me about going to Africa. Why? Because in my indoctrination as a kid, from where I come from, they showed Africans as being some of the worst kind of people you can ever imagine. Running through the boonies with bones in their nose, in their ears, and shooting with sticks. That stuff was frightening. That's what indoctrinated me. So you couldn't have given me a ticket to Africa. So I understand when you say, that's a conversation I bring to you, talking about getting rid of money, I might as well go to Africa, because you're not getting rid of the money. And that's fine with me. God ain't going to make you do nothing. There's something in play that says you shall reap what you sow. And if you decide you want to stick on with money, you will go straight to hell, burning your bridges as you go. And there won't be any way back. So I thought I would just share that with you. I wanted you to know that the Supreme Court that you have called your God, the American system, the Supreme Court is its God. And you have seen your God fallible. You're seeing your God just like Donald Trump. No different than Donald Trump. The Supreme Court sitting up there is no different than Donald Trump. Let me say it again. The Supreme Court sitting up there is no different than Donald Trump. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have some good people on it, but you don't have enough. Just think about the Republican Party. A few years ago, the Republican Party, you know how big the Republican Party is. And the Republican Party, as far as those people who are connected with government politics, there were two people in the Republican Party that stood up decency. That was Ms. Cheney and Zenmanson. I might be pronouncing his name wrong, but you know who I'm talking about. Two people in the total Republican Party stood up for righteousness, stood up for morality, stood up for God. And the whole rest of the Republican Party hid. Ooh, we don't want that. Well, let me see. Well, why does this happen? This happens because the system is a composition of men, of human beings, really, who have made decisions. And man is as corrupt can be. As I've told you before, man is what we call the two-legged devil on the earth, corrupting, going back and forth, trying to see what it can destroy, what it can belittle, what it can tear down, what it can hurt. Two-legged men, taking away your right to speak, taking away your right to make your own decision, trying to tell you what to do, and all of it backfired. Yeah. So you make sure we help the Democrats if we get that opportunity. And it's all like this, ladies and gentlemen. I think I can kind of end it like this. Children obey their parents. And we all know why. Sometimes things go a little bit awry, but we know why kids obey your parents, especially when you're growing up. Now, sometimes when you're growing up and stuff like this, the parents can get it wrong sometimes. And when the parents get it wrong, it's not to set out a fight between the kids and the parents. That's when the system, the government, settles the situation. It meddles out the situation. It tells and speaks. Well, I'm not talking about a corrupt government. I'm talking about what it's supposed to do. And when the government makes a mistake and messes up, then it is checked. There ain't nothing getting away. The government, especially the government like we're talking about, the God of the American government, it is checked. It is checked by morality. And what is morality? Morality is that which works for everybody. Everybody. And if that doesn't mean everybody got to love everything, but that which you don't love doesn't cause you any pain or suffering. That's what we call morality. And this is stuff where you got to have, you don't give a damn who it hurts, that's from the pit of hell. And everybody should know that you're representing the pit of hell. Let me see, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so our mission, doing the work of righteousness, is to see if we can get everybody satisfied. And how do you do that? By doing the way that satisfaction is designed to be achieved, and not by some two-legged man walking around and calling themselves perfect and superior. Nah, not that way.